We're a little over a quarter of a way through the NBA season, and if you're anything like me and you root for a bad team, you're already starting to look at the mock drafts to try to make yourself feel better. And look, the 2025 class looks really good, so let's dive into another mock draft and talk about these players. And what better way to do it than on Bleacher Report? I love Bleacher Report, man. I do at the end of the day. They help me with so much content. Like, I could take the time to structure these things myself, but why would I do that when I could talk about other people's work and then profit off of it? Because, you know, transparency and everything. But anyway, we've got the latest mock draft. We're doing this every 2 weeks. I like to get a couple things out of the way. For those of you that aren't watching my channel frequently or anything, like, a big part of my basketball career is like working in college basketball, evaluating younger prospects. My like NBA time and everything is evaluating younger prospects, developing younger prospects. So like this is my passion area, right? I know we all get excited about new young players coming into the league, and look, we're gonna put the glit and glamour on all of them and think all of them are gonna be great, but I really take a lot of pride in the development of younger players, evaluating them and everything. So this is a big thing for me, and I really like doing this. I will say I have not taken nearly enough time to accurately evaluate all of these guys, right? A lot of my job and what my business does right now is like more so like game to game type things for people. So that's more so what I'm focused on. Once we get to about like 60-70% through the season, then I'll start thinking about this stuff and watching it a little closely to start preparing for the off season. But for the time being, it's kind of just the top couple players. And then after that, I'm pretty naive. So feel free to let me know down below what you think of all of these guys. Leave me a comment. That's a good segue to say make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment to my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. But anyway, let's go talk about these guys. Alrighty, so I think we know what the first one's gonna be. Yep, it's Cooper Flagg. And so one other thing I want to get out of the way, I don't care about like what team they have these guys going to right now, and I don't think you guys should either. So much can change in the season, and like, plus the way the lottery is set up anyway, like the Wizards are far and away the worst team in basketball, but that doesn't mean they're gonna get the first overall pick. Just ask the Detroit Pistons how that works. But anyway, we all know that it's Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, some combination of those three at the top, right? I personally think all three of them are all-star level good. I think they could be all NBA players one day. I think that all three of these guys are phenomenal. Whatever order you choose to put them in, I'm not going to like disagree with you. Like, I've got my opinion on an order, but you totally have an argument with all of them. Like, I truly believe that. I think all of them are incredible. I think they all have their strengths and everything. So let's just celebrate the fact that we have good players coming into the league most likely this year. But anyway, the Duke product himself, Cooper Flagg, we've known about him a lot longer than anybody else, right? He was obviously on Team USA, like the training camp roster this summer, really cool. He came to college a year early, and he's still dominating at this level. He's a phenomenal talent. Something to note, college basketball is much different than NBA basketball, right? Those of you that have been on the channel long enough know what I'm talking about with this. NBA basketball is its own style of basketball. If you go to like EuroLeague or other leagues around the world, the style is much different. The G League is much different than NBA basketball. College basketball is probably the biggest difference from all of them. College basketball is like stuck in the 1980s for the most part. Like, it's the same sets, it's the same plays, it's the same kind of nonsense. Like, people just not knowing where to go, and it's the youngest group of guys, right? So that makes a lot of sense at the end of the day. But there's certain things that when you're watching college basketball, it can be very tricky, and I'm not gonna lie, it takes a bit of a trained eye. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but like it's not so much you see someone do something in college and you're like, oh, this is what they'll do in the NBA then. No, you kind of have to make like some higher level assessments of that. And here's what I'm trying to say. So Cooper Flagg like doesn't always have the most space to operate with things. Sometimes he's turning the ball over, sometimes he's not hitting the threes, which like, yeah, whatever, that's fine, right? You have to make your shots in basketball. He's the type of guy where he gets basketball at a higher level than all his peers right now. So as soon as you put him on an NBA team with NBA players and guys that just generally understand how to play basketball, his game probably is going to elevate even more, right? He's the type of guy that you get the right guys around him, you're going to see the playmaking come a little bit more. You're going to see him have more openings to attack people and show off more of his dribble moves and everything, which, look, his size, his athleticism, his defensive instincts, his handle on the ball, all look great right now. The jump shot's not quite falling yet. I might make like 1 or 2 tweaks to his jump shot, but overall, this is an elite basketball talent, and I'd find it hard to believe he doesn't go number one. He's not my personal number one, but I think you're getting an elite player with Cooper Flagg. Let's make a guess. I'm going to assume Dylan Harper number two. Yep, Dylan Harper number two. So Dylan Harper, not my number one either, so you guys can figure out who that is. If you watched the last one of these, you guys know who I've got at number one still at this moment. But Dylan Harper is probably the best college basketball player right now. Dylan Harper's game translates the best to college basketball, and that doesn't mean that he won't translate to the NBA, because I think he will as well. His style of play works pretty much everywhere, and that's because it's very methodical, it's not very explosive, it's very much read and react, like he's reading the game of basketball and letting it come to him. So like, you know, when guys don't hedge him perfectly in college, he's gonna split the difference and attack them, right? He can go get his set shots, he's got a good handle, he's big, he's strong, right? He's playing this methodical style of basketball, which I'm sure they compare him to Jalen Brunson as always. Yeah, he really is big Jalen Brunson. He's a 6'6" true point guard at 215. That's huge for a point guard. That is huge for his size, but he sees the court really well. He's got great handle. He's got 4 to 5 combo moves already. We talk about combo moves a lot on this channel. Combo moves are like, if you're in a one-on-one situation, you hit somebody with a move, they counter it with defense. The chess game continues now. How do you go to the next counter move, who ends up winning, right? A lot of young guys, they usually come to the NBA with 1 to 2. Like, that's kind of what you have, and that's a lot of times what you see with younger players. But Dylan Harper, he's got like 5 or 6 already. And it's like, okay, no, this guy just like gets basketball at a little higher level than everybody else. He can play at that change of pace, play with other star players and everything. I think he's going to translate really, really well to the NBA, much like all 3 of these guys. But he's going to look the best right now, and it doesn't surprise me. So if you tell me you like Dylan Harper number one, good for you. I totally agree. He hit that game-winning shot the other day. That was awesome. He's had some elite highlights along the way. So I love his game, man. I really do. Now, let's go to his teammate, because I've watched the big 3. I've watched every single game of these guys, right? It helps that 2 of them are on the same team. But Ace Bailey, right? Oh, I love Ace Bailey. I really do. He's my number one guy. Again, if you have one of the other 2, that's fine. I'm totally with you. Like, I can't blame you whatsoever. Like, it's kind of just more so what you like at the end of the day. And I personally just have more of a fondness for, like, this guy's ability. So, Ace Bailey, 6'10", really athletic wing, right? One of the things that sticks out to me right away is the coordination at that size. You see him get out and run, and we're not talking like, oh, yeah, no, this guy's fast for a wing. This guy's fast in general, right? Like, we're talking like Asar Thompson and like Amen Thompson, not quite them. They're 11 out of 10 athletes. This guy's like a 10.5 out of 10. So you got a guy that's really, really coordinated with really elite size, right? Really athletic, really explosive. Awesome. We've seen some crazy dunks out of him, some crazy sprints in transition. Looks awesome. You combine that with a really good handle. This guy finds little crevices to like get by people and little unique ways to like get himself open that I didn't even expect when I'm watching the film. I'm like, oh, I didn't think you were going to go there. And then, oh, you made it work. I'm like, oh, shit, that was really creative. So I don't know, it baffles me, and he keeps the ball so tight to him the whole time while he's doing it, despite being a very long body. So I think that's incredible. And the thing that gets me more than anything, if you haven't watched Ace Bailey, just go watch some of the jump shots he's able to make. There's times where, you know, it's college basketball, the offense isn't always great, and so he's got the ball high post, and he's like, shit, there's like 5 seconds left. He's like, okay, I'm 6'10", I'm bigger than you, I'm going to turn around, get you on my right shoulder and just kind of fade away, hit this shot over you, and it looks like money every time. He is hitting these tough shots. He's converting from 3 for the most part, and it's like, okay, he's just getting to these difficult jumpers and then going and hitting them over defenders contested, right? And then sometimes even when he knows he's off, he's going back and collecting that rebound right away, and he's using a quick first step again to go back up and put it in. It's elite. Like, I don't think there's many guys in college basketball, let alone like the NBA, that can make some of the shots that he can make. It really reminds me of like Kevin Durant, but like a little bit more like athletic, honestly. So am I saying he's going to be Kevin Durant? No, I'm never going to predict anyone's going to be like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, or anything like that. That just feels ridiculous. But I think Ace Bailey's really, really talented. So I'd love to see him end up in a place that would develop him well, which I think Utah actually would. So I'd like to see that. Okay. I should have taken a second to try to guess, because after the first 3, that's when it gets interesting, right? So Kasparas, Can't say his last name. You guys know I'm horrible with names, and I don't feel bad about it, because if you guys knew what my like actual first and last name is, none of you would be able to pronounce it. I guarantee you, it's really long, it's really gross, there's a bunch of unnecessary vowels in it, it's horrible, right? So there's just no point in it. But Kasparas here goes to Illinois. He fits the theme of this draft, which is big playmakers. This is the big playmakers draft, which NBA scouts salivate over. They're like, oh, yes, that's what I want. I want the next Luka or Shea or Jason Tatum or something like that, right? They want that guy. And Kasparas coming in as like a 6'6" true point guard. Awesome, right? We've seen a lot of cool things out of him. I'm actually like an Illinois basketball fan, if you will. I grew up being a Notre Dame fan primarily. Illinois was kind of my second team. I'm from Chicago originally, so those are kind of my teams. And my dad calls me like every other day, and he's like the young white kid from Illinois is pretty tough, huh? And I'm like, yeah, pops, I feel you. And he's like, no, he's got like good fundamentals and everything, which is good to see every once in a while. I'm like, yeah, OG, I feel you. Like, let's cool it a little bit, all right? You don't need to ride his lap that hard. But no, it's whatever. Love you, pops. But no, Kasparas has been awesome to watch. Talking about his actual play and everything, court vision supreme. This guy is seeing things instantly. Like, a lot of times there's even like a little bit of hesitation with some of these elite playmakers and everything. This guy sees it instantly. He knows right away where he's going. His reflexes are incredible. So this is one of the guys where I say you put him in an NBA system where guys actually know where to be frequently and they have an actual thing going on. This guy's going to tear NBA offenses apart. Like, he is going to be able to read, react, do this, do that. And what's been really cool to see is, he started out the season a little bit slow in terms of like attacking the rim and things like that, being a little bit hesitant. He is from overseas, and there's always just a little bit of hesitation there because they try to get other people involved more than like be star players more so themselves. But now he's getting more aggressive, he's getting comfortable, you see him really attacking the rim, being creative with his different types of finishes and everything. I think it's been awesome to see. Like, he's really good at like the change of pace things as well, which I think is cool, kind of like the Dylan Harper, where it's like it doesn't have to just be like one big rip through an attack, right? Like, he's like, okay, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna hit you with a move, I'm gonna go again, stop, and then I'm gonna go read, react, kind of go. And I just really like the pace that he plays with, and I'm not surprised to see him this high. I'm going to guess that we have Edgecombe next. Yeah, there we go. I really like VJ Edgecombe, and I think that's just the player development guy in me that's like, I would love to work with this talent. Because is he all the way like polished as a basketball player yet? No, but this is what makes him kind of different, because we've all seen the Jalen Green types that they're super athletic and everything, and they're just relying on their athleticism to play. That's what Edgecombe's doing a bit right now. It's a little bit different though. So Edgecombe right now is a super athletic, 6'5", strong, like shooting guard, right? That's what he is. He gets a lot of blocks, a lot of steals. He's always in the passing lanes. Like, he's very involved on the defensive end of the court. On the offensive side of things, he is hitting more threes recently, which is nice. But it's mostly just, I'm way more athletic than all of you guys. I am just ripping and going, and I'm attacking the rim really ferociously. What are you going to do to stop me, college basketball players? And they don't have a great answer to that, right? Because there just aren't many people that can do what he does physically. But where he differentiates himself a little bit is like, look, this guy's played overseas a little bit already. He's played with pros. You can tell they've taught him a little bit more because he's looking to get other people involved at times. You can tell he's like, he sees the reads at points too. Like, he's not just like acting within his own little bubble. He is trying to play within a team. It's just Baylor one doesn't really play in much of a system at all. They're pretty chaotic and just kind of say, go do whatever, go be better athletes than the other team. That's college basketball sometimes. I hate to break it to you, but that's the truth. So it just is what it is. But he's getting his teammates involved a little bit more. We're seeing games with 3, 4, 5 assists and stuff, and we're seeing him like catch the ball, like look to make another play with someone else, but then he's like, okay, no, now I'm just gonna go beat you, right? So I'm like, this guy's, it's clicking with him, right? He just needs to get the right people around him. So if we can make that fit for him, oh my gosh, the talent is there already. I love VJ Edgecombe. I love him. Tre Johnson. Oh, this is a great person to have right after VJ Edgecombe. Tre Johnson is taller Cam Thomas. I have determined that about him, and that is the take that I'm sticking to right now. What does that mean? We've got a guy that is a pure shot maker, right? Shot creator, can handle the ball solid, I would say. I wouldn't call it elite, but solid. He can get to any spot on the court. He can hit the shot. He can finish over people. He's really athletic, deadly in transition. He does not get anybody else involved, though. It is just him in his own bubble. So that's a bit of the difference, and that concerns me a little bit with him, right? there's room for guys like this in the NBA, like you see Cam Thomas, but you do kind of put ceilings on them at some point. This is like the Jalen Green type, the Cam Thomas type guys like that, right? Where it's like, okay, how much stock do you put into them? So I'm kind of curious to see what you do, but this guy's incredibly talented. He is hitting some difficult shots. Oh, they compared him to Cam Thomas. Oh, who wrote this article? Somebody's on the same wavelength as me. I like it. Yeah, the shooting numbers are awesome. He's looked less comfortable trying to make plays and ball screen. Yeah, no, he's not like reading the game really at all. He's just kind of like, all right, I see two guys in front of me. I think I'm just going to rip and attack you both and then pull up in your face and hit a jumper. And he does it, and you're just kind of like, okay, fair enough. I don't know what to do about that. But how does that translate to NBA? If you're coming off the bench in like your first season or something like that, and they just say, hey, Tre, all right, you're going in the game right now for the next like 5 minutes. Go get me some buckets while our star players are out. And he goes, all right, bet. I feel pretty good about that because like he's got good size to him and everything too. So I'm like, you should be able to turn him into somewhat of a defender as well. So if he can do that, okay, yeah, I got a role for you in the NBA 100% because man, the shot making is incredible. So shout out Tre. Ooh. Back to our big playmakers now. Egor Demin from BYU. Shout out BYU because they just signed AJ Dibitanza. Is that Dibitanza? I don't know how to say his name. Again, everybody's got hard names to say and stuff. But he's like the number one player in high school right now. He just committed to BYU. What are y'all doing at BYU to get these players, man? What's going on? Because I've seen TikToks of what goes on at BYU, and that's some scary ass shit right there. I'm not. I don't know. If you go to BYU, let me know. I've got questions. But Egor. Not quite the point guard. He's not quite a point guard. He operates as a primary ball handler for them a lot, though. Like, this guy's really, really good court vision. Sees the game incredibly well. Like, if he's in, like, transition opportunities, he's advancing the ball. He's making the right reads every time. Very, very cool. Not very explosive at all. And, you know, for 6'9", you know, it's hard to find that, right? If he was 6'9" and explosive and could handle the ball, it's like, oh, you might be the first overall pick then. Now I'm starting to look at like Ace Bailey or something like that, right? But not the most phenomenal athlete in the world, but sees the game well. So I see him as like a secondary ball handler in the NBA. So someone else is kind of running the offense, but when the ball swings to him, and hopefully he can space because the jumpers looked fine to me so far, he's the type of guy that can continue the offense. He can drive and then kick and find the next guy again, throw an alley-oop or something, right? And in transition, he's going to be really serviceable. So I'd like to think that there just is roles for guys like this in the NBA, especially for guys that smart, and he looks like he could really fill into his frame well. So I'm excited about Egor. I'm curious to see how his season progresses, like, because he's kind of gone between like, okay, I need to score a bunch of points, I need to be a distributor, I need to do this. So I'm curious to see where he kind of settles in by the end of the year. But I like him a lot. Khaman Maluach? I don't know. I'm never going to remember how to say these guys' names, so I'm sorry. It takes me too long. I watch games on silent while I'm doing other things, so just be it as it may. First big man brought up here. He probably will be the first big man off the board unless someone comes out of nowhere. All you need to know is he's 7'2", 250 pounds, and basically if he gets up on his tiptoes, he's touching the rim already. You guys are smart enough to say, oh, I could put that guy close to the rim and good things could probably happen for me on offense and defense, to which I say, yep. Exactly. Yep. You've got it. That's pretty much what you need to do with this guy. Block shots, run, jump, dunk, basketball. Easy. Nice and simple. Now, his game doesn't really get to be shown off very much because there's so many other ball handlers on Duke. His role is kind of minimized on the team. So try not to look at the box score with him or anything like that. I just don't think it's relevant. One of the things he's going to have to do is he just needs to play more basketball. He's pretty new to basketball overall, so there's just moments where he's not quite rotating at the right time or something like that, just because the experience is low, right? And that's totally fine. What we've seen is this guy's really, really good at sticking it within their system, and he seems to know it better than anyone, so he's a really, really smart person. He seems coachable because of that, right? So it's like, okay, I can teach this guy things. Perfect. Big man, like, roles like this are so repeatable that, like, if you have that kind of talent, perfect. Like, you're good to go. Just look at what, like, Yves Missy does for the Pelicans this year. He does, like, 2 or 3 things really well, and that's why I called him Clint Capella. I'm like, this guy can be Clint Capella. And every NBA coach I've ever talked to loves Clint Capella because he does his, like, 3 things really, really well and doesn't try to do anything else. And it's really, really simple to do, actually. And so I feel like this guy could be just, like, a more athletic version of him. Like, we've seen him be, like, an okay jump shooter in places outside of college basketball, which, again, small sample size, so I'm not banking on it necessarily. I don't think he'll be a Joel Embiid force or anything like that, but This guy could be a starting center in the NBA one day. I have no doubts about that. Ben Saraf. All right, we've got an international here. He plays for this team Ulm. It's in like Israel. Another big ball handler. This guy, he gets out and runs in transition. I'm pretty sure he was benched recently. And look, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In foreign basketball, they always just play the best players more. You're asked to play your role. They don't care about potential or you getting drafted or anything like that. They just don't. They're trying to win basketball games, right? He's 18 years old. That's what's going to happen, right? So they're comparing him to Manu Ginobili, which is kind of interesting, and I think just because he's a lefty foreigner. But his shooting percentages are actually like pretty good. All said and done, he's been asked to be more of a scorer and everything. He's got a weird jumper. I haven't watched like a ton of him yet, but he brings the ball to like the wrong side of his face when he shoots, but it's falling enough right now. So I guess take that as you will, but another good playmaker, right? Sees the game really, really well. I've really enjoyed it. He's averaging 16 points on great field goal percentage over his last 3. He's scoring from all 3 levels. He's got ball handling, signature deceleration, mid-range shot making. We all know the power of that, especially if you're a bigger guard. He's been coming off the bench lately. There we go. He's played more of a scoring role, but scouts still see the lead guard potential. Very, very cool. I know all my overseas viewers put me onto Ben Saraf very early. They're like, nah, this guy's it. And so, you tweak the shooting form a little bit, which happens all the time. Like, guys tweak their shooting form every offseason. You think that KD comes with the same jump shot every year? He doesn't. Promise you he doesn't. He makes little tweaks all the time. So we'll have to maybe adjust some things here, but otherwise, I like it. I like it. A lot of big guards. Kon Knueppel. I don't know, man. Words are hard. Another Duke player here. More of a wing. We have a 6'6", almost 220-pound freshman. That's pretty damn good. We like that a lot. How Kon plays right now is he does have more ball handling responsibilities, and that's pretty common in college basketball. If you're just one of the better talents, you can handle the rock, you can get around people. I think in the NBA, his role is more so going to be a guy similar to that of other white guys his size in the NBA, where he's coming off screens, he's hitting threes. His three-point shot has been struggling a bit recently, but this guy's a shooter. He's going to even himself back out. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. It's going to come around. This guy's a shooter, but what's kind of nice about him is he is very physical and he's very tough. So I'd like to think defensively he'll actually turn out to be pretty good. And while I don't necessarily trust his ability to be a ball handler in the NBA, I think he's going to be comfortable enough to slash at certain opportunities and be physical and try to finish over people, maybe draw some fouls. So that could be kind of an advantage that he has over other guys at his position. So I'll be curious to see. I like him a lot, though. I like him a lot. Nolan Traore. I don't know. Again, another big point guard. Let me hear you say it. Big point guard. This guy's fast. He gets above the rim. I think he's a pretty explosive athlete, like fearless type of dude. I might put him higher on the list, but I know he's been struggling as of late. So I've got a couple buddies. He's French, by the way. He plays in the French league. I've got a couple former teammates and stuff in the French league. They've told me, hey, this kid's good. He's getting the spots and everything. He's literally just not making the shot. So I wouldn't trip about it whatsoever. He's just kind of missing layups and stuff like that. It's going to happen. Dude's really talented. So I'm inclined to believe them for the most part. He also got moved to the bench recently as he's been struggling with his shots and finishes. There we go. Love the validation. Who wrote this article? Was it me? As a scorer, he's still getting to spots and creating decent opportunities into pull-ups and layups. Though not explosive, his open floor speed, change of pace, and tight handles remain effective. Maybe we have different versions of the word explosiveness or something like that, but I don't know. That seems a little counterintuitive to me, but whatever. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. So the 35% field goal mark is pretty rough, but they make a great point here that this is an 18-year-old playing in Pro A, which is that's top of EuroLeague, as I'm sure you could guess. And look, that's just hard. These leagues are not the leagues from 10 years ago. These leagues are full of dudes. By the way, is this Hugo Gonzalez, by the way? The other guy that's projected to go first round here? Might be. But yeah, it's tough to play in these leagues. It just is. So I like him. Ooh, Jeremiah Fears. Okay. This is one of the newer names we're seeing kind of come up, and I started watching him about 3 weeks ago. I knew him on he was on I can't remember what AAU circuit he was, but I remember seeing him there at one point, and someone told me like, oh yeah, no, this guy's going to Arizona State or wherever, or not Arizona, Arizona's where he's from. He's going to Oklahoma. Is that where he plays? Oklahoma? I can't remember. But we've got another bigger guard. This guy's an athletic freak. Like, we're talking one of those reckless American players that's like, I'm going to run really, really fast, jump over everybody. I'm going to run into everyone. If I get a rebound in transition, I'm going the entire way. He's really young. You can tell by the baby face a little bit. He's been awesome. He just turned 18 in October. Oh boy. Yeah, they're showing change of speed and direction, burst, attacking the rim. Awesome. Like, I know he takes like bad shots at times, but he just seems like one of those fearless guys that's trying to create just about anything. Kind of gives me like De'Aaron Fox type vibes. So that's kind of how I would look at him. Who do they compare him to? Jaden Ivey. Yeah, that's probably a good comparison as well. So that's the kind of guy you're getting with him. You need a scoring guard or something like that has a little bit of size. He doesn't really look like he's going to fill out a ton, but he is just like really young. So it's kind of hard to tell a little bit, but I don't know, like he doesn't look like he's going to have a big frame at some point. So he might just be tall. So if he keeps the speed and everything, maybe you have more of an Amen Thompson type build or something like that. So I'll be curious to see. He's got a lot of upside. He really does. Asa Newell. I like this guy, Georgia guy. I've seen him in person before. So Asa Newell does a little bit of everything, right? Does just a little bit of everything. They've got him as a power forward. He's 6'11", 220. Love the size already. Very coordinated. He's able to put the ball on the floor and make a couple dribbles if he needs to, even though most of his game is kind of just dunking the basketball, right? So that's how Georgia uses him at least. But he gives me a lot of Deron Holmes vibes where it's like, hey, if you leave me open from three, I'm probably going to hit this three, right? If you need me in transition, like we make it an outlet pass to me, I can put the ball on the floor a couple steps and then make the next pass, right? This guy can do a bit of everything, but he is athletic and big at the same time. So this feels like a guy that could be a really versatile, like backup center in the NBA. And yeah, they've compared him to Jalen Smith. I think that's a phenomenal comparison. Like Jalen Smith does everything pretty solidly, right? And I've enjoyed having him on the Bulls this year. I think he's pretty underrated. I could never comprehend why Phoenix didn't want Jalen Smith at the beginning. I was like, this guy seems like he's doing everything right. Why don't you want him? But it's not for me to decide at the end of the day. So I like Noel a lot. I think he's going to be a nice player. I'd probably take him with like a top 10 pick or something like that, especially because bigs are harder to find. So there we go. Liam McNeeley, the last lottery pick in this one. Shooter. 6'7" shooter. That's exciting, right? This guy, he's going to be smarter than everyone else because he went to UConn. UConn runs a pro-style offense, so he's just going to understand it better going to the NBA right away. I could just see him running around a lot of different screens. He's got some size to him at 6'7", 210 already as a freshman. That's awesome. Hopefully he can be a decent defensive player. Like, obviously not a very explosive athlete. You can tell just by looking at him. But the Keegan Murray comparison is interesting, right? Because I could see him maybe being like a stretch four at times and just kind of stepping out, running across screens, catching shoot opportunities. Now, he hasn't been shooting a bunch of threes recently. He's mostly been like going to the rim in the games I've been watching, but there's kind of a reason for that. It's because Gonzaga runs an NBA style offense, and if you can teach college guys how to run NBA offenses, they will tear people to shreds. And so he just has opportunities to be like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go to the rim now because your guys aren't in the right space. And so that's more so what I'm seeing out of him. He's like, well, why would I settle for a three when I can just go attack the rim right now? And that's more fun. So there you go. That's what I think of McNeeley. So those are the lottery picks. I'm just going to go through the rest of them because I'm going to know less and less about these people as we go, and we're kind of just going to breeze by them a little bit more. Noah Esengwe, he's looked okay at everything, and at the end of the day, he's 6'9", young, and athletic, so who knows where he's going to be by draft time. These are usually the guys that typically fall a lot more in the draft to like early second round, late first round, but for the time being, we've seen him shoot well, we've seen him be athletic, never in long spurts, but he's young and he's athletic. Plays for the same team as Saraf, actually. So, or Saraf? Is it? Yeah, I think so. And he's French, so shout out the French people. Will Riley, the other Illini out there. This guy, pretty solid handle, 6'8" wing. That's cool, right? Has sometimes struggled to like make his shots and everything, but you're like, okay, this guy can handle a little bit. He can create like in situations. He's pretty good finishing at the rim, so that enough kind of gives you a little bit of intrigue with him. Like he's pretty frail and stuff. Kind of gives me a Keyshawn George type of vibe. Like, do I think he'd be able to create at the NBA level? Not necessarily. So kind of need to figure out what type of player we're going to turn him into. So they compare him to Keyshawn George. I didn't read this beforehand. That's fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Boogie Fland. I'm not going to read the comparison. Let's see if I can get it right. I'm going to go with like a Rob Dillingham type. Kemba Walker. Okay, same thing. Boogie Fland scoring, smaller guard, right? We finally got a smaller guard out here. 6'2", very small at 175. That's going to make it hard for him to play defense. But this guy's already efficient from like everywhere on the court. He can hit shots from anywhere. He can create. He's quick. Like he's got a bunch of different moves at his disposal. So backup scoring guard. Yep, I feel good about that. I feel pretty confident about that for his role and everything. And if you got him at a pick like this, boom. Feel great about that. Like Boogie Fland. I do like him. Colin Murray Boyle, CMB. This is if you took present-day Julius Randle and put him in college basketball, this is what you get. Meaning, work in the short post, use your footwork and your strength. And by the way, is this the first, like, sophomore player that we've seen go? Or not freshman? I think so. But yeah, he's just going to be a little bit more talented and stronger than everyone else, so he's going to use that around the rim. I don't know how he translates to the NBA, so I'm kind of meh with it. Kind of meh. Derek Queen. Yeah, this is a center that I'm not sure what exactly he's good at, honestly. Like, he's hit a couple shots. He's put the ball on the floor a couple times. He's operated around the rim a couple times, but 6'10", 250 young guy, Jared Sullinger comparison, probably appropriate. So I don't know what to make of him. I really don't. I haven't watched a ton of Maryland basketball, but in the little bit I've seen, I'm like, okay, this isn't exactly what I expected. I don't know what to do with this quite yet. So give me some time to figure him out. Thomas Sorber. Yeah, he's really interesting. This guy's really interesting. So we're getting into some bigs now. This guy's really big. 6'10", 255. That's a strong guy. Stands up, easily blocks shots, right? One of those type of guys. But he's stepping out and hitting some shots. I've watched very little of him, but I've been really intrigued by him. So I need to find more time. He likes to score in the post and stuff like that and use his footwork. So he's not like a modern big necessarily, but I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious. We're going to have to watch more of him. Hugo Gonzalez. There's the boy himself. So I'm very conflicted with Hugo. He doesn't play much right now for Real Madrid, which is a very good basketball team. So it's hard to get playing time when you're young. But I've said it before, I'll say it again. He gives me huge Mario Hezonja vibes where I watch the highlights and I'm like, yeah, I can make this work. But Mario Hezonja didn't work, so I don't want to commit to it. So that's how I feel about him right now. That's the best I can say. Neek Clifford, he's one of the older guys, right? Yeah, 22. They're comparing him to Landry Fields, which basically means he's going to be kind of a do a little bit of everything type of guy, but probably not step out and shoot a ton. So there you go. That's what we have to say about him. Rocco Zakarski. I'll keep saying I like Rocco. He's not playing much right now in Australia. I know that for sure. But we've seen him be pretty mobile for his size at 7'2". Blocks some shots pretty crazily. He's got good defensive instincts. He's still pretty new to basketball at the same time. But in my opinion, you just can't teach some of the physical things that he has. So I'd like to put him on my team and work with him. That's how I feel. I feel pretty confident in my ability to develop someone like him. LeBaron Philon. I don't know how to say the name, but Alabama guard. What's a good comparison from you guys? Just tell me. Yeah, Ayo Dosunmu. That's a good one because again, he's not very explosive, but he's just got very solid skill. Can kind of make shots from anywhere. A little bit stronger than everyone else. So that's a fair comparison. I think there's going to be 2 or 3 Alabama guys that get picked in this. Miles Byard. I don't know how to say him, but wing that's shown he can be a bit of a playmaker, which is kind of interesting, right? And he's shown some good defensive instincts at times. 6'7", looks confident shot maker early, who can make plays in ball screen situations. That's what I'm saying. He can move the rock around a little bit with pull-ups, runners, court visions, the shooters and cutters. He isn't explosive, but he's flashed glimpses of crafty maneuvering. Cool. All right, cool. There is an appealing archetype forming here. Exactly, right? 6'7" and can see the court well and make good decisions. Yeah, we can work with something like that. Alex Caravan. This is just Georges Niang, right? That's the comparison. Yeah, Georges Niang. Yeah, basically that. So one of your older guys is going to be more of a glue guy. There you go. Do a little bit of everything. Be tough. Be smart. Very, very cool. Noah Penda. Have not watched much of this guy at all. I know he's French. Yeah, he's the guy they keep comparing to Nick Batum. So if you've ever watched Nick Batum play, just picture that, and that's intriguing enough. So fair enough. You guys let me know what you think of him. Josan Sanan. I haven't really watched much of this guy play. I haven't seen much. I know he was on, was it the Adidas circuit? I think that's part of the reason he ended up at Arizona State. A little bit of inside knowledge there, but where is he? What are they saying about him? Because he's the jump shot dude, right? What do I mean by that? He's got like a signature jump shot. Yeah, with his signature jump shot, like he gets like the same spot like every single time and just like always hits it. So that's what I've heard. Yeah, he was on the Adidas circuit and at Eurocamp in June. Interesting. He looked comfortable on the perimeter. He hasn't shown much ability as a playmaker right now. And when he has gotten 2 feet in the paint, we haven't seen a floater or much explosion. Okay. Interesting. Thiero, no opinions, really. No opinions on him. Rasheer Fleming, no opinions on him either. Okay, we're going into the second round now. Just going to skim through it, see if there's anybody all that interesting. Ian Jackson, still haven't watched much of him, but Coach, get off the floor, dog. Get off the floor. He was like a top 10 pick earlier in the season and not doing much at all now. Delera, not too familiar. I know people have said Ruzic is kind of interesting because he can step out and hit a little bit, and he's kind of coordinated at his size, so look out for something there. Oh, Tucker DeVries. Shout out Drake, by the way. Like, they've been really solid this year. Cam Jones. Marquette always has one of those guys. Not too familiar with Maxime here. Jameer Watkins. Yeah, Florida State. Blah, blah, blah. Another BYU guy. I'm not too interested in that. JT Toppin. Not too interested. Alex Tui. I just like the name more than anything else. Walter Clayton. Not too interested. Dink Pate. I'm always a little bit curious about just because of the ball handling ability at 6'8" and the interesting frame. If we can get a jumper on him, you can sign me up for him. Ryan Kalkbrenner. Yeah, Creighton center. That's always going to be an interesting one. Because of the size and shot blocking abilities and the general coordination, there's always going to be an interest there. Like, you could be like a Luke Cornett type of player maybe that way, where like just the size and the ability to get over people is always going to appeal somewhat. Do I think he's going to be like a rotational player in the NBA? Not necessarily, but I could see the draft pick. Danny Wolf, not too interested. Tyrese Proctor should stay in college as long as possible. I actually like Broom here. He's been fun to watch. Like, I feel like his like physical nature and everything just will like, he'll find like a spot in the NBA, because like he's still going to be a lot stronger than NBA people too, like 6'10", 240, but like this guy's built really solid and he moves pretty well and sees the floor, so I like him. Xavier Lee, he's fun to watch. He's creative. Stojakovic, yep. He's the kid of Peja, right? So yeah, they spelled his name wrong on the jersey the other day, which was kind of funny. Darian Williams, not too interested. Mark Sears, yeah. I could see him being like a Jamal Sheed for the Raptors, where he can come in, even though he was like a later second round pick, and probably play NBA basketball right away at like a competent level. Like, he's never going to blow anyone out of the water, and defensively he probably will be a liability, but the shot making is the shot making at the end of the day. So I could see that being a good pick. Markovic, not too sure. Zvonimir Ivisic. Maybe, might have said that one correctly. I think he's got a brother. He's the one that can like step out and shoot a little bit. So look at the size on this guy. That's nuts, man. Andrea Bargnani, yeah, shooting potential, defensive length. Okay, yeah, there could be something there. These guys often don't translate the greatest, but we'll see. Ryan Nembhard, Andrew Nembhard's brother, I'm not too crazy about it. Lanier, Mbako, Kobe Brea. I like Kobe Brea, actually. 6'7" wing for Kentucky. Shoots the shit out of basketball. Might be the best shooter in the country. Doesn't do much else, but when you're 6'7", 215, I'm like, okay, I can probably teach you some defensive principles and everything, and you can just run off screens and be a catch and shoot guy for me. I can make that work. So I like him. And kind of the same thing for Madsen, except Madsen will actually like attack and be like very fearless, but also shoots the ball really well. So I like those two at the end, and I think that's it. Alrighty, well, it's another mock draft, y'all. As always, leave me your thoughts and comments. I want to hear what we're thinking. Don't worry too much about where people are getting drafted right now. Things are going to change a whole bunch, and our opinions on these guys are going to change, but it's fun to kind of keep up and see what's going on around the NBA. So hey, I appreciate you guys as always, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.